All right, I think we're going. Welcome back to another one of these things where we're just talking about whatever comes to mind. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Mine's going okay. I don't have work tomorrow. Get where I'm working. We don't have to work on our birthdays or a day around our birthdays. I turned 33 on Saturday. I think I turned 33. I'm pretty sure I turned 33 on Saturday. So I get to take a day off. First day off for the year. Actually, I don't think I've taken time so far since coming back since January, coming back off the holidays. So it'll be good to sleep in a little bit. Just sort of chill. Woohoo! Made sure all my team members they have everything they need to be successful tomorrow. So don't think I have much to worry about. So that's all good. Nice little warm fuzzy there. Don't have to worry too much about stuff tomorrow. Yeah. So I was tempted to put off doing this video because I saw Dan Floyd over at New Frame Plus put up a freaking feature length film about Sonic animation that I started watching, and I was like, I should probably go do this video. But if you want to see an analysis of every Sonic game that's a platformer that appeared on a home console at some point, you can go check that out. He's really good at stuff. I'll link to it. Like, after seeing him do like the precursor to New Frame Plus with extra credits still, I forget what he called it before. I don't think it was Playframe. That might have been like him just doing streams of stuff. I think Playframe is a streaming channel. But it might have been like extra frames or something. I think that might have been it. But it's just really good content. I remember watching his Punch Out for the Wii analysis for all the animation stuff there. I could not agree more. I'm pretty sure I linked to it in another one, so I'll just link to the Sonic one. So go have yourself a good time. It is literally an hour and 45 minutes long. And all Sonic animation. So you get all the good stuff and you get all the weird stuff in there too. Oh my goodness, I'm looking forward to seeing Sonic 06. Woohoo. And seeing some opinions on that. Yeah, I think he was saying it's like a 5-month project he's been working on, just playing through all of those Sonic games so that he can get a good feel for this video. Yeah, should be good. Go check it out. On the topic of, I swear I'm just like YouTube videos I liked recently. Came across one. I can't remember why I clicked into it. I think it was a channel that's been starting to be recommended to me just on my homepage. I think it's Mayuko. She's a software engineer. Well, used to be. I think now she's just doing YouTube full time now. But was doing kind of like life as a software engineer and like talking about tech questions and things like that. And it was like 2 years ago maybe that I started watching Jarvis Johnson's channel just about the same thing. Turns out like they both worked at Patreon, which is why I thought I remembered seeing her before in some other videos of his. So went to go take a look at that and have been watching a little bit of that. It's kind of nice. It's like looking at like how I was when I started doing programming, which is a little bit about kind of what I want to talk about here. So seeing the difference between like her videos from like 3 years ago to the videos now, it's interesting because it's kind of like the same thing that Jarvis did when he was going from like his first videos to his videos before going off to his new channel, or rather moving all of his old content onto a second channel. And like just my own trajectory from like where I started coding to where I'm at now and what I'm wanting to do. It's all a very similar story. And it just seems to be one of like you have to work real hard to be a software engineer. And that's not like different like wherever you go. It's just it's just an interesting thing. It's something I never really had to like grapple with as a, say, working as a computer lab manager or a computer lab assistant, or working in a warehouse. I worked in a warehouse when I was in high school, and I was also a package handler for FedEx when I was just out of college. That's when I got back home. That's what I started after I got my degree, and I came back home. I went to go live with my mom again because I just didn't have anywhere to go, and got a job at at FedEx, just as a package handler in the warehouse. And what's like, there's like, when I go back to think about those job days to my job days now, it's an interesting shift. Like, while I was working for FedEx, I was like, this job sucks because it's like the same thing over and over again. And now my job is different every day. No 2 days are the same. And oftentimes the day is very long. So what's hard about jobs where you're thinking is that it's really hard to stop thinking about it as soon as you're done for the day. Like, it's like, okay, it's 4 p.m. I'm technically done. I got nothing else. Don't have to worry about work at all. But you can't stop yourself from thinking about some of the stuff that you're working on. Whereas when I was working as a package handler, it's like, I literally can't do my job. I can't do any aspect of my job because I'm not at my job. But when it comes to like working with projects, the only thing that I can't do is write the code. When in principle, writing the code is such a small fraction of what you do as a developer. It's like, yes, that is the main reason. That's one of the main reasons. There's two main reasons you're being hired as a developer. One, you can speak to computers. You know how to write in a programming language that you're, sorry, just like burp. Didn't mean to do that in front of you. My bad. You know how to speak to computers. You know a language for turning thoughts into function. So one, you're magical in that regard. The other thing is that you're able to come up with those solutions. So just because you can write code doesn't mean you're going to be a fantastic engineer. It means you're a programmer. You can write code. But the main thing, what makes you really valuable as a software engineer, as a developer, is being able to come up with the ideas to build. So you have like product people who are like, we need to build this thing, but that's not where the artistic part about developing something ends, is when somebody tells you what to do, because there are so many ways that you can go about it, in good and bad ways. Even following best practices and standards, there are so many ways that you can go about solving a problem. And being a good developer means being able to think through those things and get the right answer the first time, or as close to the first time in a short amount of time as you can. And that's what you're spending a lot of your time with. The actual writing the code part shouldn't take terribly long, because that's where a lot of the standards start coming in. But the expressive part comes from thinking about how you're even going to approach the problem. If I were going to be honest about how long I take thinking of something before, or like versus like actually writing the code, it's probably like a 70-30 split. I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what I want to do, and then once I know what I'm doing, it's syntax. If you know a language, then you know how to do what you're thinking of. But most of the time is spent thinking about what it is you want to convey in your code, how you want to make the thing work the right way. So that 70% is the part that's very easy to bleed into what you're doing outside of work. So it's one of those things, it's one of those differences. It's like, I definitely like doing code and designing things and solutions more than I like stacking boxes. But a part of me misses being able to shut myself off from my job at a certain time. And when I'm looking at these YouTube channels that are showing people who are very much, as Mayuko puts it in her videos, that you have a certain hustle mindset. You have to work really hard constantly, because that's how you're finding purpose in your life, that if you're not constantly being productive, then you're not living right. That if you have unproductive hours, that you're not living to your potential. And like, none of that is really shown or said out loud in videos where people are talking about that. It's always an undercurrent, and I think people talk about it a little bit, probably in terms of work-life balance. It's like, well, I can turn off if I want to, but do you? It's really hard. When your job doesn't end when you leave the building or end when you sign off for some reason, then you can carry that thought with you for a long time. And even then, it's things like software development or things that are so easy to do as long as you have a computer. I can keep doing it all the time. I can code after I'm done. I don't have to have like machinery or chutes that like throw boxes at me or like people delivering things to me. It's very easy to go create something again. Creating is just one of those things. Like, we live in an awesome time where you can do it really from wherever you want. You can make something from nothing in a lot of mediums these days. It's crazy. But at the same time, those kinds of careers are also very easy to just start infecting your entire self. And both of those channels that I mentioned, Jarvis ended up, most of his videos at the end of the tech channel days were basically like why I didn't want to be a software engineer, why you shouldn't be a software engineer. And Mayuko's these days seem to be more just along, it's like, coding is still fun. I don't know if you just heard that, but Rose was just like, oh my goodness, can you stop talking about, oh no, she's just snoring. Yeah, she's snoring. Okay, I don't know if you can hear that. If so, you're welcome. It's wonderful. If not, maybe I'll give her a mic at some point. But there were like her newer videos are more along the lines of like understanding that it's okay not to be constantly producing something. You don't have to be quantitatively pushing out output to be living your life the way that you want to. And understanding that sort of mindset, that hustle mindset that can just sort of take over you as a developer, and like seeing it when you step back is a pretty key thing. Because that's basically how it felt for me. When I'm talking with the developers who report to me, I'm always careful to let them know. It's just like, when I started, like, there's some projects that we're working on now that are like, okay, people who like working at startups would like working on these projects. And I'm honest with them, and I'm like, frankly, me from 5 years ago probably would have done that. Probably would have taken on those projects because all I did was code. I'd get off of work and I'd go home and I would do more code. I would answer people's questions on Stack Overflow and just do writing and little side projects and try and solve problems with code and learn things and even solve more problems for work while I was at home. That's all I did. And it certainly got me somewhere where I'm at right now. Certainly a lot of respect came of it, but it's also just doing way too much work. It's an unrealistic sense of output. When you have somebody like that working where you're at, it's unrealistic to have everybody else like follow suit with that, especially if they value work-life balance. People like me, when I was working that way, make everybody else look a little worse because you're doing way too much stuff. In reality, it's just, you're probably being the odd one out. It's like, cool, you're going to get it. You got that hustle mindset, but at the same time, it has a very strong tendency not to be healthy. And like, as I got older and wanted to start pulling myself out of that, it was hard. People expect a lot from you after you start doing stuff like that. And honestly, some of the best ways that you can get away from that is just stepping away from that position or that job. No matter where you go, people are gonna expect that kind of output from you. And even if you want to step away from that and get more into that work-life balance like situation where it's like, I can step away from my work again, it's hard. And it's just something you kind of have to keep an eye out for, especially like coming out of school. Like, it's so easy. I thought it was so easy coming out of learning about coding and being like, this is the most powerful thing in the world and I just want to do it all the time. And if my work is just giving me problems to solve, I just want to keep solving them. But at the same time, you don't really just want to keep feeding all of your time to the company you work for. They're designed they're designed to sort of take advantage of that when they can. They want people like that. They're paying you to work for, in my case, a salaried position for like 8 hours a day. You don't need to do more output than that. That's what they hired you on for. And it's not always super easy to get an increase on that, even when you deserve it. They want to give you enough of a bump on that salary to keep you around, but not as much as you're worth in most cases. It's just that's just the world we're in. So just one of those things to be mindful of if you are somebody like that with that mindset, just to be careful that when you are putting your all into it all the time, that one, you're probably not going to feel that way in a few years. And maybe you will, but it's very likely that you won't. At some point you'll want to step away from it and you can't. And times we're in right now, it's kind of like it's scary just to even leave the job. If you have one, that's lucky. So you're kind of stuck for a while doing something that you like, doing way too much work than you otherwise would. Feeling a little rambly here, but I keep looking off into the distance, all expressionally. I don't know what word I was about to say, but I couldn't think of it right away. Not evocatively. I don't think it was evocatively. There was a lot of expression. Yeah. But something to keep in mind. In situations like that, if you do like giving your all to a lot of things, even for the place that you work, recognize when you're ready to dial it back. Recognize when it's an unhealthy relationship, when you should be caring about some other things other than doing the thing that you're hired to do. Sometimes it's really hard to see, especially if you're like just super into that thing that you're doing. Like in my case, it was just I loved JavaScript. Just liked making things with JavaScript. And I just go out there and do a bunch of things with it. And honestly, the healthier thing probably would have been to do less work stuff with it. Just do things otherwise. But it's sometimes it's a little hard. Sometimes it's nice to have a job where it's easier to just turn off from it when you're done for the day. In places that sort of give you the opportunity to keep going when you leave, and start being mindful of it. And it's kind of interesting just seeing, like, kind of just bringing that back around. It's a very, very common story arc for software engineers. So it's one of those things, like, I think in all three of those cases, for Jarvis, Mayuko, and myself, it's just you jump in there and you're just like, cool, this is like really, really awesome. I'm doing okay. Like financially, I feel like I'm doing really good stuff. And then just like you get burned out about it. And it's good to remember. It's good to think of that a little bit more long term, even beyond where you are, and just like how much of a high you might be on. Like where are you on this roller coaster? And just being prepared for when like you do want to take a step back, where it's like, yeah, I don't mind developing. Coding is still pretty fun. I don't mind coming up with solutions, but I don't want to be going at it 150,000% all the time. Yeah. Just something to keep in mind. I don't know, it's about like the introspection that I've been doing this week. Sorry if it's very, very somber. I don't know, it's just like I've been reminded about certain things and they just sort of stick with me a little bit and want to share some thoughts. So hopefully nothing too terrible for all of you to listen to. Enjoy, hopefully, to some degree. Anyway, I think we'll call it at that. Wow, geez, almost 20 minutes. I gotta go watch a Sonic video. And here I am talking about work-life balance and making sure you don't make yourself go mentally unhealthy with working on too much stuff all the time and knowing when to turn yourself off from work. All good stuff to know. But there's a Sonic video that we should all be watching right now. Anyway, hope you're having a wonderful Thursday, and we will catch you in the next one. See ya.